And maybe these mass shootings would stop happening if we all thought a little bit more and we prayed a little bit more.
Kids were shot and killed at school, but let's do nothing and pray. And approximately 45 seconds later, it was a great week. Fair warning, folks. This will piss you off. Saying that the White House's recent social media presence has been a shit show is quite possibly the understatement of the century, especially given what they just posted 8 hours ago and how badly it is blowing up in their face. And we will go through a number of their recent absolute failures, as has become kind of routine on the channel, which started when I made this video, and now has become a recurring theme. But this video today is different because of what they posted in this video, talking about the mass shooting that happened at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis this week. Luckily, I've padded the end of this video with some catharsis, but brace yourself. So I'm just gonna play this video for you. We'll break it down after, but just know that when you think it has gotten to its worst, it only gets worse.
Welcome to the MAGA Minute. First, I want to address the horrific shooting that took place at the Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. President Trump signed a proclamation immediately following the shooting, acknowledging the victims and their families and directing flags to be flown at half-staff. President Trump and the First Lady encouraged the entire nation to join us in praying for the victims and their families as they face unimaginable grief and loss. We will continue to provide further updates as they become available. Also this week at the White House, President Trump held a 3-hour and 17-minute-long cabinet meeting, setting a record for the longest televised event in presidential history. He also hosted the South Korean president in the Oval Office, as well as the Abbey Gate Gold Star families, after which he signed the first ever proclamation to commemorate the sacrifice of the 13 brave souls who lost their lives on that tragic day. President Trump also signed an executive order to protect Americans by ensuring federal policies and resources are not used to support cashless bail policies across the nation, which have been a complete and total disaster.
Folks, there is still another whole minute plus in that video. I mean, let's start with the obvious here. First of all, starting the video that way is outrageous. Not a MAGA minute at all. That video is 2 minutes and 25 seconds, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of how absolutely atrocious that is. To sit there and talk about these kids that were just gunned down at their Catholic school and say, Trump issued a proclamation? What the f did that do? Trump offers his thoughts and prayers? I have more on the thoughts and prayer stuff in a second, but right the f off. You are a heartless bitch, and Trump is a dickless, spineless, heartless, soon-to-be-dead piece of shit. And to start your MAGA minute with that, and then transition to this upbeat, copyright-free hype music, and talk about how Trump had a 3-hour meeting where he was getting his dick sucked, and people told him he should win the Nobel Peace Prize while kids are getting murdered in school? Are you insane? I apologize, and I know I need to calm down, and I will as we go through these comments because they are absolutely trolling the administration for doing this. But this is infuriating, and I will say excuse my language, but I don't even mean it because I think this calls for that kind of language. That is disgusting. That is Alex Jones levels of pro-life caring about the children all the way off. You don't care about shit. And people know that. They posted this on all of their social medias. And even on Instagram, where they get a little less hate than on TikTok, people were going off. So you have your normal, regular, run-of-the-mill Trump TikTok posts that are kind of like, you know, just these pictures that are great, don't get me wrong. So sad to hear. Where are the files, though? This country can't complain about falling birth rate while continuing to let kids die in schools. Why did y'all cut billions of dollars from mental health services to schools? You brag about whatever the she was talking about like cashless whatever, and you don't care about mental health and gun reform to keep kids alive? I have other thoughts that I cannot say publicly, but me. Where's the BBO? Big Beautiful Obituary. More Epstein file stuff. A little bit childish on the TikTok there, but the Instagram posts went in a better direction here. You have, look at this. They titled it "Putting America First, Honoring Annunciation Victims." Honoring? Get the out of here. They talk about the DC crime down 20%. That's a lie. $4 trillion deficit cut. What does that where is that information coming from? And how does that matter if you're increasing the deficit by, I don't know the exact numbers, but probably quadruple that? You have Carolina's full of bullshit button. Address the horrific shooting, but will do nothing about it. Thank you for nothing. Sour cream Karen lying again. That's actually a good one. Kids were shot and killed at school, but let's do nothing and pray. And approximately 45 seconds later, it was a great week. What the actual Coralyn? Her shirt is dirty and wrinkled. Your lips are orange. A reference to the dick-sucking photo of her that's going around. Propaganda minute. Disabling gifts is censorship. MAGA minute. Sick. What does a proclamation, half-mast flags, and prayers do for any of these families? For anyone. Most unflattering $700 shirt yet. They were literally praying when the shooting took place. Of people online now speculating that the White House is covering up the fact that the guy had a stroke this week. And personally, I wouldn't feel too upset if the guy had as many strokes as he's taking golf strokes this weekend. And I apologize because I had all of that planned out and was going to cover more than just this story, but this story just got me so infuriated. And the only things that really bring me any kind of solace here is I want to play this video of one of the guys from The Good Liars absolutely trolling the NRA at one of their recent conventions. This is going re-viral despite happening a few years ago because it perfectly symbolizes the ridiculousness of the useless proclamations and the thoughts and prayers mentality that especially people on the right and now the propaganda wing of the White House are putting out there as if it does anything to prevent this kind of horrendous shit from happening in this country day in and day out. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So where is your all-loving God that's listening to those thoughts and prayers? Because it sure seems like he takes a break when it comes to this stuff. But what the do I know, right? Surely there's no other country where they've put in common sense gun legislation and it's actually worked, except for every other one on the planet. No, but liberals are the problem. Liberals, woke, communist, Marxists, and the people behind the guns. That's the problem. That's the problem. Off.
I'm sick and tired of the left-wing media and, frankly, people in this room today spreading misinformation about Wayne LaPierre. Whenever there's a mass shooting, they all say that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough to stop these mass shootings, and even implying that Wayne LaPierre has played a part in making it easier for these shooters to get guns, to get weapons. You heard it after Las Vegas. You heard it after Pulse nightclub in Orlando. You heard it after Columbine. You heard it after Parkland. You heard it after Virginia Tech. You heard it after Sandy Hook. You heard it after El Paso. You heard it after Buffalo. You kept hearing that Wayne LaPierre isn't doing enough. And frankly, that's not true. The NRA, under Wayne LaPierre's leadership, has provided thoughts and prayers to the victims and their families. And maybe these mass shootings would stop happening if we all thought a little bit more and we prayed a little bit more. And your thoughts and your prayers and your prayers and your thoughts. And if we give enough of these thoughts and these prayers, these mass shootings will stop. So I want to thank you, Wayne LaPierre, for all your thoughts and all your prayers. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. That did help me calm down a little bit for the catharsis, even though nothing's been done to stop the NRA. But here's the rest of the bullshit that the White House has been posting on their TikTok page today. You have this one titled Timeline Cleanse, Sounds of Made in America. As Trump tariffs our economy into a recession, if not a depression eventually, as all of the manufacturing jobs have left the country for decades now, thanks to Reagan and Clinton and these trickle-down policies and giving tax breaks to corporations and billionaires like Trump just did after kicking everyone off their medical health insurance. And of course, it has copywritten music, so I can't even play the full video. Odessa, you're a big EDM artist. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with your music being used here? I don't know.
My first job, my parents insisted that I get a job. I wanted to be a cheerleader in high school, and I couldn't afford the uniform. So my first job was packing peaches at Warmadam's Packing.
Wow, that's so nice, White House propaganda bullshit lady. Wouldn't it be great if kids could live long enough to get their first job? Some of them don't even make it to 14, the age that you Republicans seem to think is prime for these kids going to the mines, but they shouldn't get free school lunches or have the ability to go to school and learn and live at the same time. In case I wasn't abundantly clear before this moment right now, literally to hell, every single idiot, moron, Republican, or politician in general who has taken money from the NRA, who supports the NRA, who doesn't support common sense gun legislation, and who cares more about their pockets getting filled than the pro-life idea that kids should be able to go to school and learn without being gunned down by a lunatic. And I retract everything I said about being sorry. I don't give a flying. And if this language upsets you, if my demeanor upsets you and these kids dying doesn't, and you feel okay just offering thoughts and prayers, then you need to get your priorities checked. And let me ask you this, how would you feel if it was your kid? Would you support gun legislation then? What does it take? Anyway, Donald Trump, if you want to stop this senseless death and ridiculousness and atrocities, then drop a like on the video, subscribe so it gets out there. It feels weird even saying that. I don't care at this point. But what really matters is speaking out against these atrocities, against bullshit like this White House TikTok propaganda. How out of touch, senseless, and heinous and do you have to be to, in the same breath, switch up the video like that, say you did something for those kids and their families, and then talk about how Trump got his dick sucked by his own cabinet for a full 2 minutes. And MAGA is so stupid that, first of all, they won't even notice that it's not a minute. It's not a MAGA minute if it's 2 minutes and 25 seconds, and that's the dumbest thing to harp on, I know. But also, they won't realize that MAGA is actively ruining all of their lives and putting their children in danger, as are just Republicans in general. And this has been a long time thing. It's not like a MAGA specific thing. But they will still sit here and support it until it puts them in their graves. I guess think about that the next time you're applying for Medicare. I'm Kenny S. I'll see you guys in the next one.